I'm not going to say, oh, have a good day. That's exactly what you guys did. That's exactly what you guys did. Did you guys get all that? Oh, fucking sorry. I'm sorry.
Alright, y'all, welcome back to another podcast number 2. Actually, Dino's letting us use the same area today, but we gotta welcome a very special guest to me, a really good friend of mine, helped me film some hunts this year. Noah, how's it going, brother?
What's going on, buddy?
How much? How's things been?
Not bad. Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Laid off, so I've been doing absolutely nothing.
Ready to get back to work?
I can't wait to go back to work.
Making all that big bucks.
Never thought I'd say that.
No?
No.
So what do you do for work? Explain to everyone what you do.
So I work for a bridge construction company up in Albany. So it's pretty much self-explanatory. We do bridge repair, build bridges from the ground up, stuff like that.
What do you do for 10 hours a day?
I get to play with a jackhammer.
That's right.
It's amazing.
But hey, you make good money, man.
Absolutely.
You can work your way up that road pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not too concerned about it.
Definitely. So
How you been?
I'm doing okay, man. Like I said, working 6 days a week. Definitely trying to just stay active and stay busy, posting content like this. Ice fishing has been going pretty good, and Josh has been out there killing the game on ice fishing too. So, you ever ice fish?
Never.
Never.
I won't do it either.
No.
So don't ask.
No.
No.
Why?
I just don't trust it.
No.
No.
Can I ask why? Like, so what, even if it was like a foot thick, you wouldn't trust it?
Absolutely not, because it takes one crack.
One crack.
Until the whole thing possibly just crumbles.
You can swim.
Not in fucking... not in 30 below degree weather, water, or whatever.
True. I've been through. It's, luckily I was able to touch in the bottom, but definitely cold. Definitely cold.
Doesn't sound fun.
No, not at all. So you're an outdoors man yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? So let's hear your first deer kill. Your first deer you got, I should say.
All right. So my first deer kill technically wasn't my deer.
Okay.
It was a couple of winters ago, a couple of years. I took my sister and her boyfriend out to a piece of property we had permission to hunt on. And they obviously didn't know where to go, so I set them up and gave them a lay of the land. Pretty much told them where to go for their better chance of getting a deer or even seeing one. So once we got to the general area, I told them to go up to this certain spot, and I would sit down lower below them just in case anything came through. And I got... Funny story, I was going to my spot and I saw somebody already there. So we had a conversation about it. The guy there ended up leaving. So then I just continued my hunt. So I got all settled in, and not even 10 minutes go by when I sat down and I hear a gunshot above me. So I'm freaking out because I didn't know where it came from, who it was. Obviously, I figured it was my sister and her boyfriend that shot. So I'm checking myself. Like, feeling like if I got shot or anything like that. But I ended up texting my sister, and she's a ball buster. So I texted her, I'm like, did you shoot? And she's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, no way. She's like, I seriously did. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll get up now and climb up the hill. And sure enough, her boyfriend and I met up, and then we ended up walking to where she was, and him and I couldn't believe that she shot within 10 minutes of us getting set up.
Right, because that's very rare.
It's ridiculous. So we go up to her, and we're both like, all right, so where did you shoot? And she was like pointing in some general direction of where the deer was. And so we ended up going up and looking for blood, and we didn't see anything. So we're like asking her all these questions. She's like, yeah, he ran off, he went up the hill, whatever. So my sister's boyfriend ended up walking up to where the deer was, and that deer was bedded down already. So he ended up jumping it.
Right.
He took a shot at it. He missed. So the deer is obviously running away. So I ended up going down below where he was, and he was up top following the deer. And another gunshot went off. I'm like, what the hell? So now I'm yelling at him. I'm like, yo, did you get him? And he's like, no, he's still running. So I'm like, shoot, we're going to lose this deer if we keep jumping it.
Right.
So regardless, it was my sister's first deer. So we obviously didn't want it to get lost or have it get away. Definitely. We're chasing it. I get up to where he was, and he finally told me, he's like, all right, he's bedded down right over there. So I looked at my scope, and I see him bedded down. and he told me to go up above him and try and get a shot down at him to finally kill it. So I'm like, all right, well, I end up going up higher, and I get set up, and I scope in, and I'm like, well, I only got one shot, and it's unfortunately the head.
Right.
So if I shot the body, I was going to ruin the meat. So I ended up taking the shot, and that was that for that deer. We walked down to it, and we look at it, and it's kind of going to be kind of gross, but I shot it right in the head.
Right.
So it looked like a googly eye. Like one eye was hanging out, and the other one was absolutely destroyed.
I remember this picture.
Yeah, so it was funny because once my sister's boyfriend came up to it, he's like, holy cow, it's a buck. And I'm like, what? So we look at it more, it's a little tiny spike.
Gotcha.
And so he's joking with my sister, saying, babe, you got your first buck. And she's like, no, I didn't, blah, blah, blah. Sure enough, she came up. Spikes were so small, you couldn't see him past the ears. So she thought it was a doe.
Right.
But then once she got out to it, she was pretty excited. But, yeah, that was my first technically kill, but technically not my kill.
That was awesome, though, man. Like, you definitely, when people despise the headshots, but, I mean, that's a shot you had. That deer, as soon as that you basically pulled the trigger, that deer's done.
Yeah.
If you hit it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you put it out of misery, and on the last podcast, we talked about a lot about not letting them suffer. I hate seeing it, obviously. I'm sure you do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather walk up on a deer dead. I've walked up, and I've had to jump before, and, sometimes you do got to let them lay. You don't get much sleep, though.
No,
especially if you
rule of thumb is 30 minutes.
Yep.
Once you shoot your deer, especially if you're bow hunting, 30 minutes is general rule of thumb. Let them die and run off or whatever, but then you have time to settle down, your adrenaline's pumping, get yourself settled, get down from the tree or stand or blind or whatever,
right.
and wait it out and then go track it. But
bow hunting, man, it's a different kind of hunting, man. It really is.
I
Especially,
honestly prefer bow hunting over gun.
I remember us having this conversation, so I'm glad you brought that up. So why is that?
For me, I like hunting with a challenge.
Right.
Like if you're gun hunting during deer, your chances of killing that deer are higher than bow hunting.
Right.
Like you gotta put the work in for bow hunting. You gotta go out and shoot. At least my dad always told me, if you have spare time, go out and shoot like a dozen arrows, and that's it.
Right.
Just to make sure you're still on.
Yep.
So for me, the challenge of deer hunting is better with a bow than with a gun.
That 12 point or 10 point, let's say, to be realistic, that 10 point, that slammer could be at 80 yards and you can't do nothing about it.
You can't do nothing. You can just sit there and wave at it, and
Yep.
then you just get mad.
And it's kind of funny. One of my buddies told me a story that he was bow hunting, and there was this buck. He came out and he was standing right by the swamp, and he's 9 doe. He watched this buck breed 9 doe, and every doe walked right to him.
Wow.
Walked right to the buck and bred him. And all that guy could do was just sit there and watch. It was just out of range for the bow, man.
It sucks.
It's a different
Definitely
world.
Sucks.
Different world.
But no, I mean, I don't know. Gun hunting's all right. I just don't like freezing my butt off, and chances of seeing a thing in winter is slim. But unless you're in the rut,
Right.
but 90% of the time you don't see anything, and you just get mad because you're cold.
Definitely.
Whatever.
You got to find your food sources, and sometimes those aren't even paying off.
Exactly.
I mean, they're smart creatures, man.
They sure are.
I mean,
they're dumb when you're driving, but as soon as it comes hunting season, you don't see a thing.
no, and you can sit there and, okay, I'm in a good spot, and next thing you know, you're getting blown at. I understand the wind has a big factor of this, but especially if you're sitting in like the swirly wind. But even if sometimes you'll just walk in, you wouldn't be perfect, but they'll sneak in behind you and catch your scent where you walked in.
Absolutely.
It's
And
like
you won't see them. They'll turn right around and go the same way they came in.
they blow, and you're like, why? My wind's not even going that way.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
They're smart.
Definitely.
It's a hard animal to kill.
Do you do any fishing?
I'll get out there once in a while.
Once in a while?
I remember taking you out over the summer.
Oh, yeah, I had a lot.
Blast.
I had a blast. I got tangled up there a couple times.
I've gone striper fishing out in Cape Cod. My family and I used to go out to Cape Cod every summer, and my dad would book a charter for stripers, and that was fun.
You catch some big ones, right?
Oh yeah, they're massive. If you get on a good one, then they're gonna put up a good fight. But it was fun.
You guys keep them, right?
Oh yeah.
They're good eating?
If they're legal, like size and length and stuff, then yeah, we keep them and eat them. But
Good eating?
yeah, they're good. Nice little grill with wrapped up in aluminum foil, garlic, butter, lemons. Let that thing bake.
Damn, that sounds so good.
It's delicious.
Sounds so good. I haven't had any striper. I mean, have had some salmon and stuff like that, but never striper. So you guys did that in Cape Cod?
Yeah. Yep. We used to do that, but we don't do that anymore. So.
Your first turkey. I want to hear this story, brother.
So I'm gonna start off by just saying turkey is my all-time favorite animal to hunt.
Okay, I agree.
I just love, roosting them. They're crazy. They just scream on the roost. And then once you get in your spot in the morning and you know where they are, chances are they're just going to... Sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll just pop right down in front of you. Other times, they'll just fly the opposite direction. You're chasing them for the rest of the day. But first ever turkey, I was 12 years old. I just got my hunter's permit, or hunter's license. And my dad and I went out one morning early, got up at like 4 o'clock. It's a 20-minute drive to get to our spot, another 20-minute walk to get up. So we're going to get in the woods and sit down by like 5:30-ish. And so we get up to our spot and get all settled, and sure enough, they're just hammering off the roost, gobbling their balls off. And that's, for me, before I would hunt with my dad, like turkey. Like I just go out with him, enjoy it. But once you're there and you actually know you can actually, kill it legally.
Definitely.
And that's a whole new game. So it was like right at dusk, or right at first light, so 6:45, 6:30-ish, we hear them fly down. And they're spitting and drumming, and once they get within 20 yards of you, your heart is just beating out of your chest. So, so they came down this logging road we were set up on, and my dad's like, "Yeah, you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." Meanwhile, I'm shaking, And so I'm like, "Yeah, I got him." So I click my safety off. And turkey's hearing and vision is just insane.
That is. Definitely.
You can break a stick, and they're just perked right up. So I didn't have my safety off in time. So I clicked it off, and all of a sudden I see him periscope up. I'm like, shit. So my dad's like, "You better shoot right now, or else he's going to go." So I shoot.
How far?
Probably 15, 20 yards.
Okay.
I had a little youth 20 gauge at the time.
Yep.
But yeah, I see him flop, and I get up, I start sprinting towards it. I step on its neck or whatever. He's flopping on the ground, and my dad gets up, and he's like, "Yo, there's another one laying on the ground." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." So he runs over and steps on that one's neck. I'm like, "Well, is it a tom or a hen?" He's like, "It's a tom." So my ever first turkey hunt, I shot 2 birds with 1 shot, and I didn't even know I shot 2.
That's crazy.
It was insane. So I was thinking, like, after we got all settled or whatever, we were talking about it, and he's like, "Did you see 2 of them?" I'm like, "No, I just saw 1." So I shot the one, and I ended up, I guess the pellets spread far enough to get the one in the back, too, and ended up killing him.
And you never saw it?
Never saw it in my line of sight, because I was only shooting at the one, and then I ended up getting both. So
that's crazy.
It was wild. 2 biggest birds I ever killed in my life.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it was nuts.
Been on some pretty crazy hunts myself for turkey. So we basically same thing. Gets up in this logging trail, and you heard them fly out. Mm-hmm. And usually, sometimes if they're really staying late in the roost, we'll take our hat and we'll just bang on our leg, make it sound like they're flying out. Obviously, But they flew out, and then they get down this little knob here at the bottom of the gully here, and just gobbling their head off. Mm. And you still hear a hen down there with them. So now this hen's got all their full attention. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can have the decoy out there. You can call. Hens are the worst enemies. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously it's bad. So finally he comes up, and I wasn't supposed to be on the sticks. I was just up there sitting with the kid. We thought they were going to come to the right. So I'm sitting up. I'm facing the logging trail. We think he's going to come to the right, so we put the kid there. And, it's his turn to shoot. I've never got a bird before, but he didn't either, so we just wanted to give him a chance first. And here comes his time. He comes up strutting. He gets right up on top of the logging trail there, and I have my crosshairs right on him. And now all I can run through my head is, it's his turn to shoot.
Right.
He better turn and shoot that son of a bitch or something, right? So I'm just sitting there, and I just hear the guy in the back, and this is the guy I've always killed all my turkeys with, and he's like, "Shoot it. I'm like, "What?" He's like, shoot it. So then, of course, I stick out the safety, and boom, and drop it right there. And it's a crazy experience, man. It really is. Like, then you run up there and you put your foot on it, and like, I was always scared to put my foot on the neck. I mean, because they're tough. They will flop and flop and flop.
Yeah.
And if you don't hit them good, they'll flop enough. If they get enough wind under their wings, they'll fly right off the ridge.
Stand right up and get out of there.
And now, I know they don't survive, but you'll never find that bird. It's not like tracking a deer. You either drop them right there or you roll them and it's done.
Yep.
And that's a heartbreaking thing, just like tracking a deer at night or losing a deer.
Yep.
But it's definitely something to, I encourage people to get out and do.
Absolutely. If you've never been turkey hunting before, then definitely try it.
Definitely.
It's a game changer.
And like I said in the last podcast, I favored hunting, but because I've got out of turkey hunting here, I think in the last 2 years, I really haven't hunted much. I think if I get back into it, I always said, like, back when I was younger, I'm like, oh, I'd rather turkey hunt. Just because you can hear them coming in.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, if you've never heard a gobble at 15 yards,
Oof.
it hits you right in the chest.
It sure the hell does.
It really does. It just hits you like that. Okay, I understand he's loud, but like at 15 yards, that hits you so hard.
Screams at you.
Oh yeah.
Game over.
But I mean, I've had hens come right in. They come in first, inspect it, and you just sit there still, man.
Yep.
You just
Can't
sit.
move.
Nope. And like when they get by you, and if the tom's still over the hill, you get out and spook that hen right out.
Absolutely.
Especially the caller. So the hen will walk right by you at 5 yards.
Yep.
It's crazy because they don't know you're there. And then the caller back there, he'll get up and spook her off the hill. She makes a little putt noise, but Tom still rattles off in the back. He's just following this hen. Comes up over the hill, sees your decoy. There's your hen. And he just comes right in and you get a shot. But no, I wanted to let that kid shoot first because it was going to be his first bird. And I mistakenly said it was going to be my first bird. I shot a Jake back before, but I'm like, I wanted this kid to get his first one.
Right.
But it happened to come up in my sight, and that's how it goes with hunting, man. Like, we favored him to be that sight because that's just like the way they looked like they were going to come. But then it'll come my way.
Unpredictable, man.
Oh, definitely. And like I think the next weekend the kid shot one like literally 5 minutes into opening light. I mean, like out of the tree, way too early on the ground gobbling. Yep. You're like, oh God, am I going to be able to pull this one off? You see him. I've had signs that they get out of the tree. It's moonlight. I mean, you can just see the outline. But what can you do? If you want to do it legally, you got to wait and let them go. But definitely, like you said, either they come towards you, or I mean, you're chasing them because they're chasing the hen out the other way, and that could
sucks too because turkey season's only good till 12.
Right.
So if you're, I've shot birds at 11:55, and you're racing against time at that point, so everything gets more nerve wracking.
And I understand it's for the whole pressure of the hens thing. That's why basically what I was always taught, like the hens go back to their nest at that time, so they're laying on the eggs, of course. But like, man, it's just so tough. Like, you gotta get out of the woods and you still hear them gobbling. It's like, God damn!
Like,
like
10 more minutes.
Yeah, right, and it's just so tough because like you want to keep going after them, but obviously a law is a law. And I mean, other states they hunt them all day.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how that. I mean, what the hens don't over there don't go on their nest?
Every state's different, which I don't know.
Definitely.
I guess just the New York thing.
Definitely. So, you and Big Pick, you guys do a lot of turkey hunting together, right?
Yeah, me and Pickett. We've had a couple of good ones, but he's just something else to hunt with, So he's
definitely best caller in the county.
Oh, absolutely. Especially around here, he's probably the top caller for a turkey hunt. Especially with his mouth call. His mouth call is unreal.
Really?
If you've never hunted with him, I definitely suggest doing it because you're just going to be mind blown. He's a goofy kid. Like, you can't take him seriously half the time.
Oh, I love him to death, but yeah, he's definitely goofy.
Once you get him in the turkey season and, he gets you out, he's just unreal. But I take a lot of things away from him, but that's one thing I will not take away from him. But, no, he's incredible. He's, probably a little bit taller than I am, about 250 on a good day.
Right.
And, general rule of thumb is you have to sit against a tree that's wider than you are.
Right, yeah.
If the turkeys come in and they see his silhouette, they're going to be like, oh, what the hell is this?
Right.
So if that's the case, then the chance of that bird coming in is slim. So one year we were hunting on a piece of his land, and he had him going, and I look over, I'm set up, and he's sitting against this little shrub, like a little shrub brush tree, and he's got his feet up in the air. He's like lounging, like in a recliner. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm calling. I'm like, they're right there. He's like, where? Pops his head up. We could have double, but I had my 20 gauge, and it was probably a 50-yard shot. And he had his 12, and he's like, are you going to shoot? I'm like, no, I don't got a gun big enough to shoot that far. So he got all mad, and they ended up getting spooked. But, no, just, sometimes the hunt itself is more important in memory making than killing it. It's all about how it got all there and how it all started. And, sometimes I take the memory over actually harvesting the animal.
Definitely.
So.
You learn so much from it.
Absolutely.
Like exactly what you just said about the silhouette, him sitting against a small tree. Now, I guarantee if, to this day, I don't know, maybe he still does, I haven't really hunted with him, I guarantee he picks a bigger tree. Because maybe they would have came in further. That's what I'm saying, like maybe it's just the experience, but definitely like the calling and everything, like I can't call for crap, I'll be honest. So like the guy I go with, he calls like a champ.
Yeah.
I mean, like he does mouth call. He's really good at box call, but obviously you can't make that much movement when they're coming in close. So then he'll pull out his little putter. But he gets him in there close enough for us to shoot him. But I mean, what's the closest you've ever shot a turkey at?
15 yards.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy.
People tell, Pickett, for example, he shoots a 3.5-inch fucking 12-gauge shot. Sorry, I swore, but
You're good, man.
he says, if they're not going to come in any better farther, you got a better shot at it if it's, 60 yards out. I'm like, well, if you're a good caller, then they don't need to come in 60 yards. You can get them into 15. You can use a 20 gauge.
I think the farthest I've ever shot one, and I missed it, was at 35 yards. And I missed. But I'm not used to shooting that far. Like, we were up there at camp, and we had jakes going all morning. I mean, when they saw the decoy, they came running. So they come running in. The one stayed out by the decoy. And then we called this the Jake Rock. It was a huge boulder in the middle of the woods. We just kind of kneeled on that, just looked over the field, see some hens out there. And they just started sounding off. I'm like, second turkey. Okay, I think I can do this. First turkey. This is why we called it the Jake Rock. First turkey I shot was Jake out in the field. And obviously it was Jake, so we called it Jake Rock. First turkey. Dropped him. So about, I think a year later, same rock, sitting there, calling him. And here comes this group of drakes coming in. A couple stopped at the decoy. The other one just kept going for the call. He thought there was another hen in the woods. So he's like, okay, you guys fight over that one. I'm going to come in here.
Right.
So here we are at the rock. This bird, dude, runs right square up next to the rock and looks over at us and starts putting. And now I'm like, all right, I already shot Jake. I don't know. I'm waiting for Tom. And all I remember the guy I hunt with, his name is Jody. He goes, if you want it, you better shoot it because he's out of here. Mm-hmm. So he starts putting all the way out, scaring all the other birds away. So by the time he got to the barbed wire fence about 6 yards away, he was done. He was done for. I mean, because, like you said, the experience. It's more than just killing the giant bird.
Right.
The experience of that bird coming in within 2 yards of the rock you're sitting next to is just crazy. It's really crazy. So that's exactly like you exactly said with the hunting, and it's more than just the killing. It's more like the experience.
Right.
So when that turkey came in that close, I'm like, he goes, if you want it, you better take it. I'm like, I'm taking it because you never, like, how do you know that experience is ever going to happen, Right. But we've definitely spooked some off there, spooked some off the hill. Just some things just don't go your way. Absolutely. They come in and you don't see them, or they see you too early, but same field. I mean, this was a really good field up at camp there. You know what camp is. They came up, and we got set up in this hedgerow. Again, it was for his old man. His old man was like 70-something at the time. I think he's 80-something now. And he was supposed to be set up in the hedgerow right next to me, and he was supposed to get the shot. He was losing his vision and stuff, so we were supposed to get him. But this Tom came out, and there was another Tom out in the field. They were just going at it. Like, they started flocking each other. So he finally comes in. This other one, he's all pissed off. And this hen, we had the hen decoy around the edge.
Oh, redhead?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's mad.
He just comes in. He's all pissed off. So then I come in, like, I'm looking at him, but his old man can't really see it. And I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do here? And so the bird just keeps coming in. Now this bird's at, like, we're 15 yards inside the hedgerow. This bird's probably, like, 10. So I'm like, I'm waiting for him to see it. And he can't. He's hard on hearing, hard on seeing. So I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this bird's standing here, dude, staring right at me. Now he put his feathers right down. He's just standing there looking at me. I'm like, so again, in the back, he goes, shoot it. And I'm like, it's his old man sitting next to me. I'm like, he just couldn't see him. And he couldn't turn fast enough. So I shot it. It was a 10.5-inch beard. Biggest one I've ever shot. No, yeah. 10.5 was the biggest one I ever shot, yeah. So it was just crazy because, like, the two, like, nicest times I've shot was supposed to be for someone else.
Right.
Like, I gave up my spot. I wanted them to get one. Mm-hmm. And it just happened to come in, like, one wasn't on this kid's side, and the other one, he just didn't notice it fast enough. Like I said, he was an elderly man, but it's just crazy how that stuff works out,
Yeah, it's crazy. Turkey hunting's nuts. How'd your deer season go?
Not too good. Not too good. I love he
I
has
was
like.
watching your videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the doe, man. I didn't see anything with antlers. Nothing.
You know, it's the way it goes.
I mean,
it's hunting for a reason, you know?
I talked about you in the last podcast. You went out with me, filmed for me. Like I said, like it's experience. I mean, that was fun.
We made some stories that day.
Yes, we did. That was fun, though, wasn't it?
I had a blast.
I mean,
it was a good time.
We went out there and I started rattling, playing around with a tree and just joking around. But, yeah. TikTok, that one, huh?
Oh, yeah.
But,
I got a lot of views on that one, too.
Good. But, no, it was... we still saw deer in the distance, or you did. I couldn't quite see him,
I
but...
saw a tiny doe, but...
still fun.
You know, like I said, it's sometimes more about the memory than it is the hunt.
Exactly.
So,
like
we had a good time.
we're gonna remember that one for a while.
Definitely had a good time,
But when we found the scrapes, they were fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Found the
They were
scrapes.
still hitting them.
Found actually right behind the blind. Actually, when I was picking up, and I was actually hunting this later in this fall here, or the winter, if you whatever you want to call it. I found some rubs there, really good trails.
Really?
Right behind.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if did I pressure it too much. I don't know. What's your opinion on that? You watched all the videos. Did I pressure it too much? What do you think?
Well, I mean, where you had the blind compared to where you were hunting the rest of the season. How many times did you hunt in that blind after we set it up? Or did you ever go back to that?
No, I went back to that blind, I think. So I went back there once, afternoon hunt.
Yeah,
Didn't see anything. Wind was just a whipping. And I was heading there one morning, and I went in super early. So I think I figured out that's more like their bedding area.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was heading up. I actually got permission to access from the bottom.
Okay.
So easier to come, up in. Got up there, parked, got out. I walked up. I was just about getting right around there, the opening where we saw that scrape, and it was crunchy, really crunchy that morning. And I ended up jumping. It sounded like 2 or 3 deer. Crunchy, you can just hear them running off.
Yeah, so that must be their bed.
Right, and I was heading in there to sit that blind, but they were like bedded right by the blind, man. Like they took off right there, right off the outskirts of the power lines. So I don't know how would you attack that then?
I don't know. That's a tough spot, especially by that blind. If that's their bedding area in the morning, they're going to be in there in the morning. I'd almost sit across from the blind.
Right.
But because we found that nice when we were walking out that day, we found that nice opening of apple trees right to that right.
Yep.
When we were walking up the power line. So, I mean, apple trees, scream food. Look to me like that's one of the only main sources that are there for their food.
Right. Except the grass and regular just power lines,
Right, and,
scrubs, yeah.
Maybe acorns or something like that. But, I mean, if you're going to go back there next year and hunt that same area, and if they're still bedding in that same spot, then I would sit almost across from that blind. Like, get down in there in the morning and, hunt that ridge or something lower, like, across from the blind, how we were looking across the swamp.
Right.
I don't know, if I were you, I'd probably sit on the other side and sit on that hillside.
See, and I sat there after I spooked them that morning. But, I mean, obviously it was too late. It was just, if it was a little bit quieter, maybe we got a little wet, they probably would never heard me sneaking in. But it was one of those cold, crisp mornings. You snuck up in there. Or you tried sneaking up there, I should say, and, I mean, things happen. You just make too much noise.
That same spot would be a good spot for bow.
Yeah.
Because the apples are still there. They can still see the apples. And then, me, I was preaching to you all winter season, hunt the pines, hunt the pines, hunt the pines. Because, the snow accumulation isn't as big or as heavy or deep or whatever in the pines. Because the pines just hold all that snow.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know, maybe next year attack it in bow season and then gun season hunt more pines. Because they're going to be in there. So
because I went down below the blind later in the season. I'm sure you saw the video when I was just finding scrape everywhere. I mean, it was just tore up. I was in the buck's bedroom, man, or whatever, and he was all pissed off. And it's like, but there's a house up there. The property lines on that piece of property is just so weird.
Yeah.
The property line, it's just so weird. So like,
as long as you're 500 feet away from a house, you're good.
Right, and I went over there and I marked it on Onyx to where I was sitting. I'm like, nope, it's not good. So I just backed out because I don't need that ticket, man. I do not need that ticket.
Tickets aren't good.
They're not good.
And they're expensive.
They're expensive.
But as long as you know you're 500 feet from a house, you're good.
I was literally like 20 yards. And I tried moving 20 yards.
I wouldn't shoot that.
No, I tried moving 20 yards, and I'm like, listen, this is a bow spot. Come back next year. And that's what I filmed all this, and I'm like, it's going to be good. It's going to be good, but hopefully next year they're still in the area. I mean, there's definitely big bucks there.
I'll definitely give you props about that, man. tried to get you over to hang out. You know, it was weekend. You had the weekends off. I'm like, yo, wanna come over? Oh man, deer hunting season. I'm like, yeah. But no, you know, you put in all the hard work. You know, I barely saw you during deer season. It kind of broke my heart a little bit, but I gave you props for, you know, sticking it out and, you know, trying to chase those antlers. So, I mean, if anybody's going to tell you didn't put in the work, I would love to meet him and, like, be a one-on-one kind of guy. Like, you don't have no idea how much work this kid put in deer season.
I mean, I skipped out so many hangouts with you, like you just said, man. It's just, and I don't mean to do that to be rude.
No, and you know me by now. You know, we went to high school together. We grew up, and
definitely.
I'm a big ball buster. So.
Oh yeah, you're gonna bust my balls whether you.
Absolutely.
Hey, I went out and I missed the whole party thing or the hangout group thing. How many deer you see? I saw none. And he's just gonna bust on me. But that's how we are. That's how we are as buddies. But it's tough. But
no, I definitely respect all the work you put in and getting all these videos and content out for all your viewers, and you know, it's your dream. So I'm not going to take you away from your dream, but I will bust your balls about it.
I appreciate that.
So, but no hard feelings. You know, you're a hardworking kid, and you know, if you're going to chase your dreams, you're doing a fantastic job at doing it. So.
Keeps me on my tippy toes. I really appreciate that, brother.
Absolutely. I got you. What else you got? Any more juicy questions for me?
All right, the juicy question I have for you, brother, is how many deer have you killed?
5.
5.
2 with a bow, 2 bucks with a bow, and my 3 doe I shot with a gun.
You're saving the bucks for the bow then, huh?
Absolutely. More of a challenge.
So 3 with the gun has all been doe.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
Yep. And my 2 bucks, there were 7. My first one was a 7-pointer, and the second one was a decent 8.
All real close?
Within 15 yards.
15. That's crazy.
20 feet up in a tree.
20 feet. They didn't even know you were there today.
Absolutely not.
Damn.
Absolutely not. No, it was cool.
Climb on, or what do you use for a tree stand? Climber. Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it. So I really appreciate all the hard work you put in, even though you do it off camera. A lot of the outdoorsmen definitely appreciate it too. And it's definitely a challenge to put in all that work, and especially with the bow, as you like to say that you like the bow more than over the gun. But it's definitely a blessing to be out there with you and experience some hunting time in the woods with you. But like I said, a lot of the outdoorsmen would appreciate as much work as you put in and get the deer down yourself. And also, even though if you're not doing it on camera, it's so amazing. So I really appreciate you being on the show, man. Second show, you're the second guest. Really appreciate it. And thank you again, man. It's been a blessing.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a good time. Definitely keep up the hard work. This whole podcast thing, I think, is a good change for the channel.
Definitely.
You know, you don't have to edit as much.
Right.
You know, but just sitting down talking about hunting stories and stuff was a good time. So thanks for having me on here. And all you guys out there, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
That's
push
right.
That notifications and like the video, and comment down below what you guys want to see next from him, and he'll get it done.
Amen. And we'll definitely have you back on here very, very soon. But
I look forward to it.
all right, brother. Appreciate it.
Later.
Thank you, man.
No problem.
Have a good night, y'all.